shall be heard. The Honorable Mayor Wyatt Moncrief presiding. Please remain standing for the invocation and the pledge.
I'll lead us in the prayer and the pledge. Bow your head. Father, we thank you for the privilege of serving the city of Lakeland and the people. We thank you for the families that are represented here tonight and in advance for their participation in our meeting. We pray that you give them clear thoughts as they come before us to speak their minds and express their will. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Recorder, call the roll, please.
Mayor Walker.
Here.
Vice Mayor Dowd. Present. Commissioner Nicholson. Commissioner Plump.
Here.
Commissioner Torrey.
Present. We have a quorum. Madam Recorder, first item, please.
Treasurer's report, general fund, sewer fund, stormwater fund, state street aid fund, solid waste fund.
All right. Do you have a motion to get these to the floor? A motion from Commissioner Gallant and a second. Second from Commissioner Pluck. Items are properly on the floor. We have a discussion on the treasurer's report. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Item passes unanimously. Madam Recorder, can I pause for a second before we go to the next item? Just say, if you would like to speak to any item on our agenda, you're welcome to speak to those items, any of the items that are before us. So let us know by card. If any of them are on the consent agenda, if you would just kind of raise your hand, wave your hand, let us know so we don't pass it and vote it without you getting to speak to it. But the deputy here has cards, and you can raise your hand. He'll bring you a card, and he'll come pick it up as well. You'll be provided the opportunity to speak before the board and address that item. Okay? Madam Recorder, next item.
Reports from committees, members of the Board of Commissioners, and other officers, city manager's report, Shelby County Sheriff's report, and presentation by Lakeland Chamber of Commerce.
All right, thank you, Mr. Manager.
Only one thing to add from last week is that we now have a planning director. We made the hire artificially last night. We sent out information on the details of that hire. So I still want to notify all the other applicants, but we do have a planning director we're excited about.
Good, very good. Much needed help for you.
Yes.
And when did they start?
It'll be sometime mid-June.
Okay. Does that complete your
That's
report?
it. That's it for tonight.
Okay. Shelby County Sheriff's report. I saw Lieutenant Lomax come in. There he is right there. Lieutenant.
Good evening. Lieutenant Terry Lomax, Shelby County Sheriff's Office, 11670 Meadows, Arlington. I will be presenting the April 2015 crime stats and our strategies and tactics for the next 4 weeks. Fighting crime.
Excuse me. I'm sorry, Lieutenant. The microphone, it's not, okay. There we go. Sorry. There we go. I think people were, I saw people leaning in. So, yeah, sorry.
All right, for April, we had 35 reported incidents in Lakeland. Once again, the majority of those is in that pie-shaped area between 40, Canada, and 64. Out of the 35, we had 5 theft motor vehicles. 3 of those were unlocked vehicles. We had simple assaults, domestic violence, 4 of those. 4 identity thefts. 3 of those were actually fraudulent tax returns. They had been filed on people that lived in Lakeland by people outside of Lakeland. We got their information. 2 residential burglaries, 2 theft from buildings, 2 motorcycle thefts. They both occurred around the area of Brunswick, Stewart. And we also had a burglary at the Staples, where a rather high-dollar lawnmower was stolen. However, the key was taken from a secret location, and only 3 people knew where the key was. So I doubt very seriously if the owner stole his own thing. So we're looking at 2 employees for that. Everything else is single digits. We had a vehicle that was, I think it was trying to be stolen. It was towed from the trailer park on Canada Trace, and it was recovered over on Monroe with a damaged front bumper. Out of the offenses, looking at the 4-week trend, aggravated assaults were down. Burglary business was steady. Burglary other was up. That's the stable. We had 1 in April. We had none in March. Burglary residential, we had 5 in March. We were down to 2 in April. Motor vehicle thefts were steady. Largely others were down. Robberies, none. Theft from buildings were up 1 from 1. Like I said before, theft from a building is just simply someone who has legal access to that building to take something that doesn't belong to them. Could have been at a party, could have been in a restaurant, somebody walks by a table and picks up an iPhone or something. Our theft from vehicles remained the same, and vandalisms actually dropped 200% for the month, which is very, very good. Looking in here, there was nothing really, no trends. We've got an address on Salem Road where we've had 3 reports, 3 calls in the last month. And I think it's an ongoing situation with an ex-neighbor. It's the same people involved. We just had 3 calls there, two assaults and a burglary. So we've got all those people identified there.
Hatfields and McCoys, right?
Yes, sir. And like I said, the only, we had 3 incidents at the apartments. On 64 there, we had 0 incidents at LA Fitness.
Awesome.
We have our Sky Cop there, it's been there for about 2.5, 3 months now. So ever since we put that on the lot,
Yeah.
we've had nothing.
Excellent. Good news.
Yeah, very good news. I see Sprouts is open, so we'll be doing more patrols in the lot there. We'll add that to our DSP package as well. But that's really all we have, nothing major. Like I say, no robberies, no rapes, no homicides, no suicides, just basically property crimes, and a lot of those can be prevented reading the reports. People are leaving wallets laying on seats, leaving doors and windows open. Our 2 residential burglaries, the front doors were tried, but they're in different parts of the city, so there's not really a trend there.
Take a moment. We got some extra citizens here tonight. I want to take a moment for you to brag on yourself. Y'all's department is, I promise you, and I was in law enforcement. That's my origin. It's law enforcement. It's one of the premier law enforcement agencies in West Tennessee. I know the Data Smart Policing. I was very impressed with that. Tell me a little bit about the Data Smart Policing effort.
Yes, what the Data Smart Policing is we run 4-week trends, but personally, can I face them?
Yes.
Our Data Smart Policing, basically what we do is every week we have a meeting on Wednesday mornings. The lieutenants in our patrol division, as the week goes on, we review every report that's taken throughout the entire county, and that's unincorporated areas, Lakeland and Arlington. That's what we patrol. We look at every report that's taken. We take those reports and we determine if there's a trend that we can see. And we break it down to time of day, day of the week when these crimes are occurring. That way we can take our manpower and put it where it needs to go. The trend that we saw about 4 weeks ago that I noticed was vacant houses. We have documented 400 vacant houses in those areas I was talking about. 2 of those are in one neighborhood in the northwest part of Shelby County. It's kind of a depressed area. However, at least once a week we make an arrest or we get some kind of crime out of a vacant house. So we've tasked our officers to start checking those vacant houses more often. And we're running crossings, we're finding drug dens, we're finding burglars, we're finding stolen property that are taken out of, say your house is burglarized, there's a house down the street that's vacant, they'll take your stuff, hide it in that vacant house until they can come back and retrieve it. Because most burglaries occur during the day. So what better way to hide your stash than to steal your stuff, put it in a vacant house and come back at night and get it, where you can walk down the street with a 50-inch TV and nobody will notice it. And that's what they're doing. So we noticed that trend, we're working on that, and we're making a lot of good arrests and have a lot of things. But that's what the Data Smart does. It started out in New York as ComStat many years ago. The sheriff went up there, and they kind of adapted it to Memphis and Shelby County. And that's how we base where we send our officers. So if you don't see an officer in your neighborhood, that may be a good thing, because that means that the crime in your neighborhood is almost non-existent. Now, do we tell them don't go to a certain neighborhood? No. No, they're tasked with patrolling everywhere. But, fortunately for you guys in Lakeland, crime is relatively light. The reporting numbers, our officers, I have people asking, well, how many squad cars are in Lakeland at any given time? Well, it's hard to say. Because Lakeland is the boundary line of 3 different districts, 3, 4, and 5, and the city. So at any given time, there could be 2 cars in Lakeland, or there could be 6 cars in Lakeland, depending on what the call volume is and where our people have to go, because we also do Cordova. But many years ago, they decided that we would take our District 4 and separate it north and south. So 4 north is Lakeland. So you actually have 2 cars per shift assigned to Lakeland. And then we have our 5 cars, and Highway 70 is the boundary for District 5. And District 5 has 2 cars per shift as well. So you've got 4 cars assigned to Lakeland. I hate to tell you this, but you have to share them with Arlington too. But you're close enough that we can get there. We can get just about anywhere that we need to in about 5 minutes. So, okay. I hope that answers some questions y'all might have, or give you an idea of how we base our policing. We don't just go out and ride around. We actually sit down and come up with these strategies and tactics to fight the crime that we see. So if you see cars in your neighborhood, y'all do me a favor. Be good neighbors. Look out for each other. I mean, we have so many calls that we go, and I make a lot of these scenes, and I'll say, well, you know your neighbor? I have no idea. Well, how long have we lived there? 5 years? Really? Really? I mean, I've noticed. Of course, I drive a squad car home too, so everybody knows who I am. Yeah, so, but get to know your neighbors. That's what it takes. It's your neighborhood. You own it. That's the problem we're seeing. People don't own their neighborhoods. You know? Get out in the evening, walk around, talk to people. Because I guarantee you, that neighbor that you meet tomorrow may be the one that calls us next week saying, hey, I know that guy's not supposed to be at their house. So we get a lot of that. So thank y'all very much.
Good word, Lieutenant. Yes, sir. Let me ask you, I see a hand up. If y'all have a
Just
question
one
for
quick
Lieutenant, raise your
question,
hand.
please. My name is Lou Melton, and I heard you say that 400 vacant homes. I just want to know, are the homes for sale? Are they abandoned? What is the situation? I just had a foreclosure across the street from me.
Sure.
And I had a lot of strangers coming, same scenario you're talking about. So I did the thing where got the license number, checked out what was going on, and a lot of it was people that just were coming looking to bid.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? But I just want
Sure.
to know, the 400 homes, what are we dealing with here?
You named all of them. What I did, when I tasked the officer, I started on my shift. My shift is basically from 2 in the afternoon to 11 o'clock at night. We answer it's called the Baker shift. We'll answer about 3,200 calls a month on my shift.
Okay.
Our day shift answers about 1,400. Our midnight shift answers about 1,100. We're answering 3,200.
Okay.
So that right there tells you that we're very, very busy.
Fine.
So what I did was I sent my officers around to these neighborhoods, and I told them, look, if you see a house that you know has been for sale 2 or 3 or 4 months, document it. If you see a house that's obviously vacant, all grown up, document it. And that's how we did it.
Okay.
There's houses that are probably, like in my neighborhood, there's probably 4 houses for sale right now that have been for sale for 3 weeks. We're not going to document those. But it's houses that have sit there long enough, and I dubbed it Operation Vacant Target. Because that's what they are, they're targets. From stealing whatever's left behind, to the copper pipe, to the wiring. And see, that not only runs the neighborhood down, but the person trying to sell that house, that's going to come out of their pocket before they can sell it. So it just makes it that much harder to sell. And I don't know if y'all have heard of the broken window theory.
Yeah.
You know, if a house has a broken window and you don't fix it, what's going to happen next? It's going to get dilapidated eventually, and then your property values start dropping. The criminal element comes in. So that's what I'm trying to do is, if nothing else, keep an eye on those houses and know what they are. If y'all go to, we actually locked up some burglars last week, and they told us that they were looking at houses on the Shelby County Land Bank, which I think that's a list of properties, available properties in Shelby County. Criminals aren't stupid, you know? They're just lazy. They don't want to work. They'll steal, but they don't want to work. You know, they'll go up and pry a door open and go in and strip a house out, take 3 hours to rip all the sheetrock out of a house for $300, but they don't want to sheetrock a house for $1,000. I can't figure that out. So, but anyway, that's probably why I'm in the job I'm in. But that's what we did. We documented them that way. And, you know, there is a recourse. If you have a house that's in your neighborhood that's getting dilapidated, it's getting run down, you can call the Mayor's Action Center.
Okay.
Steve Schuler's over the Mayor's Action Center. Mayor Lovell has kept it up and running since he took office. And they will address that. anything that you have going on in your neighborhood that you're not happy with, that's law enforcement, you can call the sheriff's office. Or you can contact the mayor's action center, and we'll address it, or they will address it. And there's recourse that you have for those sorts of things. But that's a great question. You know, it depends on where you live. If you drove through North Haven, every third house is vacant.
I sold real estate, believe me, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The thing that I wanna know is, if these are homes that are vacant and they're not paying their taxes to Lakeland and to Shelby County, it's time for us to get them on through the system. Let's, you know, process them, get our money,
That's gonna be-
foreclose. I know, I talked to
Ma'am, I'm
Jim
down-
about
I'm
that
down
this
here.
past week.
I'm down here.
I know,
they're up there,
I
and your
understand,
questions
but, so can I get a list of the 400 vacant? How can I get the list? Because I will gladly volunteer to check to see if these people have paid their taxes or not, and I will gladly call Lenore's office. You understand what I'm saying? I'm all about saving money.
I
Do
can
you
get-
know if I can get a list?
Let me work on it.
Thank
Let me
you
get
so
your name and
much.
address, or name and phone number, or email address.
Okay,
I'll see if I can get it for you.
I'm married though. I'm glad you got it.
Good for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thumbs up.
Thank you.
I am
will.
too.
Oh, good.
I've been happily married for 32 years with 3 different women.
I got you,
know?
baby. Oh.
All right, Lieutenant, thank you for the report and the entertainment.
Name, please.
Appreciate it.
Now just remember, 911 if it's emergency. If not, do not call 911 if it's not emergency. Call our non-emergency number that's available. Guys, good night.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda, we have the Chamber is going to give us a presentation. Jenny, you are gentlemen.
Let me jump in. The Chamber had a board meeting today to discuss how they want to move forward.
Okay.
They'd like to make a brief statement tonight
Okay.
during the agenda item of the budget, so later in the meeting. And that's their chairman, Ken, gets off work at 6 and will be coming in a little bit.
Absolutely.
We'd like to defer a more robust presentation until next work session in
Oh.
June.
Sure. Yeah, do you want to just hold everything until the item comes up on the agenda, or do you want a statement now?
Well, Ken's not here yet. I believe he want to be here.
Okay, I didn't know if Jenny wanted to say something, but
That's
that's
really up
okay.
to them. If they want to do it.
We'll just hold everything until the agenda item.
There's a couple of representatives in the back too. Jimmy, do you want to
Hey, Jimmy.
defer like we talked about? Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
And we'll expect a little presentation later and a larger one at the future
Next work session.
Okay, that'll be good.
Hi, good evening. I'm Yolanda Watkins, and I was asked to represent the board of the Chamber of Lakeland. And we just wanted to let you know how much work we put into the chamber. We are responsible for so many things, good things that happen out here in Arlington. Excuse me, Lakeland, I'm so sorry.
That may have been true in the past.
Well, yeah, I know, I'm so sorry. But, you know, we have the Business Expo, we have a golf tournament out here. Jenny has been very instrumental in getting the EDGE grants. We actually have two $13,000 EDGE grants that the chamber has gotten to benefit the city of Lakeland. So, and you know, and the thing is, we've done so much, and we would like to have the opportunity to give a proper presentation so that you can let, you know, so we can let you know all the good things that we've done. So,
Sure. And you'll be afforded that opportunity. I know the board's interested in hearing from you. So,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
We
Thanks for
appreciate that.
attending tonight.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Okay, Madam Recorder, next item, please.
Sewerage Commission business action on the recommendation of the Board of Commissioners to adopt the Sewer Enterprise Fund financial plan for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2015 and ending June 30th, 2016.
Okay, do I have a motion to get this to the floor? I have a motion from Commissioner Plum, do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Vice Mayor Gallup. The item's properly on the floor. Let me ask something, and Commissioners, I'll defer to y'all. Does anyone want to speak to this item real fast? I got a quick question I want to ask. When we had a board retreat, one of the things that was brought up and even recommended on for our sewer was adjustment to the way we structure our sewer fees. And that's not an adjustment on the fee. We're not talking about going up or down the fee, but the water use. Almost every city has after you reach a certain limit of water usage, you get charged an extra. And that means that we don't all divvy up those that use excessive water at the expense of everybody using excessive water. The average, I think the average household, they were saying, uses like 8,000, something like 8,500 is their limit. And then if you go over 8,500, there are extra charges for that. I would like to at least look at that, put in that limit, because that's not an increase on everybody, that's only an increase on those who use excessive water. And we don't have to divvy up that expense at the end of the day if we're responsible with how much water we use. And every other city, like Cairo, Germantown, I think all of them have it that I know of, but us.
Sure.
So,
Well, there has been quite a bit of research done. What we could do is send that off, bring it back to you for a discussion. What it means would be an amendment to the fee schedule, that will be used by ordinance in the future. So maybe next month or latest July, bring back full research and we'll make a presentation on the fees and the rates.
I think it'd be not only responsible for us to do, but I think it's fair for the citizens, that everything just use an average amount of water. Because when the fee goes up, it goes up on everybody, and it won't go up as often if we implement things like this. I know it went up just before we got into office. Nobody likes to pay more of these fees than we got to. So. All right. Any other discussion on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. Item passes unanimously. Madam Reporter, next item, please.
Consent agenda, approval of meeting minutes from previous meetings. Resolution adopting the sewer enterprise fund financial plan for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2015 and ending June 30, 2016. Resolution to use City of Lakeland email addresses for conducting city business. And resolution authorizing a contract with Standard Construction Company Incorporated for 2015 road asphalt paving projects for the City of Lakeland.
Okay. Have a motion to get the consent agenda to the floor.
So moved.
All right, I have a motion from Vice Mayor Gallagher. Have a second from Commissioner Tory. I do have that question, that resolution number 2 on the sewer enterprise fund. Can we amend that sewer enterprise fund, the fee schedule at any point through the year? Is that just one?
Yes.
Well,
Okay, so-
and technically revenue doesn't have to be amended on the expenditure, so if
Okay.
we propose new
So we
revenue or
can do-
increase revenue.
We can do that. Yeah, okay. Very well. Then, any other discussion on the consent agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Item passes unanimously. Madam Reporter, next item, please.
Ordinance first reading and ordinance establishing a debt service fund for the City of Lakeland, Tennessee.
Okay, we have a motion to get this to the floor.
So moved.
Do I have a second? I have a motion from Commissioner Gallagher, a second from Commissioner Plum. Items properly on the floor for discussion. Is there any discussion on the debt service fund? Okay. In short, for those of you who aren't privy to previous discussions, the debt service fund is one where we are going to take our annual, what you might refer to as surpluses annually, and place them in a fund to be used to either pay down city debt or to pay cash for future capital projects to reduce borrowing for the city. So, I guess in lay terms, that's probably it, right? Is that summarize it pretty well? Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Item passes unanimously. Madam Reporter, next item, please.
Ordinance first reading and ordinance of the City of Lakeland, Tennessee to rescind ordinance 14-216 to establish a special property tax.
Okay. Do I have a motion to get this to the floor? So moved. I have a motion from Commissioner Tory. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Vice Mayor Gallagher. Items properly on the floor for discussion. Do we have any discussion on this item? Okay, it's just simply rescinding the ordinance, cleaning the table up, if you will, on that ordinance from the fall. So we'll be rescinding that if we pass this ordinance. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Item passes unanimously. Madam Reporter, next item.
Ordinance first reading and ordinance of the City of Lakeland, Tennessee adopting the annual budget and tax rate for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2015 and ending June 30, 2016.
Okay, do you have a motion to get this to the floor?
So moved.
Motion from Vice Mayor Gallagher, have a second. Second from Commissioner Plum. Items properly on the floor. I know we have a lot of discussion because I'm holding a lot of cards here. We have approximately 11 cards. Do we have any others submitted, Mr. Deputy? No cards submitted. We have approximately 11 cards. I'm going to take these in order which I received them. 11 is not just too much. We give everyone 2 minutes to speak. And the first one is Jeff Hicks, right there, sitting in the same spot where last week. There you go.
And once again, first.
There you go. Once again, I'll tell you what, I did that to you twice. Let me put you at the end. I don't want to do that to you twice, man. Sorry about that. Yeah. I'm just taking these in order I received, but I do want to be fair about it. Okay. You may want to respond to comments made prior to you. Chad Reynolds. Chad?
Mayor,
Yes.
Italy, I'm
You had to
sorry.
leave?
Yeah,
Okay.
baseball game.
All right, sorry about that. John Brown. I know John's here, I saw John come in. Hold the door for you. Come on up, Mr. Brown, name and address for the record, please.
John Brown, 4046 Lockwood East Point. I'm not going to repeat everything I said the last time, but the main point I want to make is that all along I've been for compromise. The bond issue was defeated. I think hopefully there's going to be a compromise on the school itself. The one thing that there doesn't seem to be any compromise on is the high tax rate. And so far, there hasn't even been any discussion from the people on it in any meeting that I've been at. I would like at this meeting for there to be some discussion. We would like to know what your reasoning is, why you think that we still need a 55-cent additional tax rate. Like I said, my position has always been compromise. I think building up for the future, whatever it's going to be, is a good idea, but it doesn't have to be 55 cents. We're not going to build that accommodation school. If you still plan on doing that somehow, we'd like to know. If you're just building up money to build a middle school and a high school later, we'd like to know that. But this code of silence isn't good. Thank you.
Okay. Next is Charles Daly. Mr. Daly, just name and address for the record, please.
Charles Daly, 3185 C. Ray, very much along the same lines as he was talking about. The people of Lakeland that voted 2-1 against the school. We certainly don't see any reason to accumulate the money that was allocated for that school if we're not going to build it. And there's no sense in putting it in now until such time as we are going to build it. And that would be something that I would hope would come up to referendum again. Because we're not saying don't ever build the school, we're just saying don't do it now. And we don't need tax money sitting in the bank. I mean, we said we don't want no taxes, we don't want the school. So please do not implement a higher tax rate that would pay for a school.
Thank you, Mr. Daly. And next I have Mike Schuyler.
Mike Schuyler, 4300 Cool Springs Cove. We're concerned about the debt, we're concerned about the taxes. Personally, I'm curious as to why 55 cents. That was for the bond. The bond was shot down. Could be 13 cents, could be 83 cents, could be $1.50. The purpose that I'm hearing is to set aside money for future capital needs. Without a budgetary reason or any strategic long-term plan, I don't see a reason to raise our property taxes right now. Excuse me. We're the only city in Shelby County without debt limits. If you're going to focus on something, you should focus on debt limits. It's interesting that you brought up Mayor Collierville and Germantown and thinking about comparing us to them in terms of excess water charges. Collierville, Germantown, Millington, Arlington, Shelby County, they all have debt limits. We have debt limits are there to protect taxpayers from unlimited taxes generated by unlimited debt. We reviewed, and I think you all received a handout that I presented. We reviewed the debt limits of every city in Shelby County. We picked 3 of them. They're all based on ratios. The ratios are debt per capita, debt as a percentage of expenditures, debt as a ratio of assessed value. Very simple to compute, and they're standard across the nation. So we are petitioning that you at least consider and we would very much like you to implement them as we presented them. The limits that we presented, if you use them as Lakeland sits today financially, as a population and as a financial city, we can afford about $7.2 million. That's definitely not enough to go to school. So, that's it.
10
My
seconds.
time's up. Okay.
No, it's just 10 seconds.
No.
I'll let
Are
you-
you say something or?
5 seconds.
Okay, that's it, all right. So, I'll take my 50% back. The one thing I'd like to say is it's impossible to come up with a limit of what is really affordable if you don't have a limit on what you can spend. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Next speaker, Alexa Tudor. What? Name and address. I'm sorry.
I'm Alexa Tudor, 9280 Ledger Trace Parkway. Good evening, everyone. I've asked to speak tonight to let you all know that my husband and I fully support the 55-cent tax increase earmarked for Lakeland Schools capital improvements being added to this year's budget. When the issue about the new school first arose months ago, I spent a lot of time talking with my neighbors and my friends about their feelings on the schools and the bond issuance. We did not agree on the bond issuance, obviously, but a lot of people I spoke with did agree that we need schools. So those that were against the bond said they wanted to see the city save the funds for this particular venture. The most efficient way to save this money is by this special tax increase. I believe it will show families that are in Lakeland already and those looking at Lakeland that we're serious about making progress for a full K through 12 school system. And I believe it's time for Lakeland to start preparing for our future. And I thank you for the time.
Thank you, Alexa. Now, I have Beverly Miller, Miss Miller, sorry. Okay, Ms. Miller, you wanted to speak to the charter. Are you wanting to speak to the budget or the charter?
Well, I put that on there and because the attorney had said, I had asked about a debt limit and that, I believe I understood correctly that would require an ordinance.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to speak to that, that is related to the budget. I'll allow that on this item. That's no problem. I just want to make sure that we were speaking to the item at hand, and then if it wasn't, I was going to bring you up in a little bit and just let you speak.
Right, well,
Okay.
that's why, excuse me, Beverly Miller, 3214 Woodmead Lane. Last week, I had asked about a debt limit for Lakeland so that we would not have more than 10% of the annual budget as a debt. And I think that our attorney was going to check that out and see if it required us to change the city charter. Is that my understanding? Is that correct? It may not be.
I remember us having that discussion. I'm trying to recall exactly what the conversation was. We can follow up on, why don't we take her information, contact information, and we can get back with her, and we can even bring it up in a public meeting if we need to next time, if you'd like to bring it up next time, what the response is. The exact question is, if we wanted to establish debt limits, you want to know if it would require a charter amendment or if it could be done by ordinance. And Mr. Attorney, do we?
I'm a little certain to do that by ordinance. Again, it can be implemented by ordinance, it can be implemented by ordinance, that can be done, that can be done by ordinance.
Right. Okay, very well. Let me say something, just to clarify. If you enact something by ordinance, like debt limits, it's kind of the paper tiger everybody's throwing around right now. I was actually going to address it in the resolution, but I'll address it now since you're here and you have a little extra time. It's kind of the paper tiger. Everybody's saying debt limits, so it's going to tie our hands. Collierville supposedly has debt limits, but they're talking about issuing $90 million to build a school. You have Germantown that supposedly has debt limits. They're talking about $38 million to improve their schools. You've got Bartlett that's had some internal discussions that I'm familiar with. They're talking about, potentially building a high school. So these debt limits are only as stable as those that are committed to making them. So, I mean, you know, they can be adjusted by ordinance. It's kind of like your federal debt limits. They're always raising the debt ceiling, right? I mean, it is what it is. I'm just telling you, it's that paper tight, it's like that. They're throwing it around, everybody's throwing it around as the fix-all, but you can pass a budget by ordinance, you can set a tax rate by ordinance, you can establish debt limits by ordinance. All of it can be changed by ordinance. So, it's not the fix-all. The legislative body has always had the ability to adjust the tax rate and funding and so forth, and it always will have that.
Okay, the only other thing I would say is that we are already being taxed for the city schools right now. Part of our taxes that we're paying right this month go to the schools. Thank you. So,
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. We'll get those questions answered for you.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Nancy Farkas. Name and address for the record, please, ma'am.
I'm sorry. I can't hear any of this. Nancy Hart, 3822 Piper Bay Code. I would think if we could do a $50 million bond by ordinance, we should be able to do a debt limit by ordinance. But I'm here to speak on something different. We had our first tax was 85 cents. 60 cents it was for capital improvements, 25 cents for schools, and a half cent sales tax. I went to a Partnership Lakeland meeting in February of 2014 where Mayor Bunker, you spoke and said most people move to Lakeland, and I'm quoting, for number one, low taxes, number two, low crime, and number three, high-performing schools, which at the time was Arlington. Our tax, and unfortunately, we don't, I'm speaking on something that you may or may not even be doing. I mean, you may not be instituting a 55-cent tax for maybe we'll need it. But if you do, that would make Lakeland's tax at $2.10 compared to Germantown, which is $1.93. Now, they say you can't compare, but I added our fire and police in there because we pay it, whether we get to deduct it or not. We absolutely pay it. Germantown, $1.93. Arlington, $1.15. Now, if you're looking at a house to buy, same schools, same proximity to Wolf Chase, would you pick $1.15 or $2.10? We were told we didn't need the schools right away. We were told we wouldn't need any taxes right away, and now all of that is suddenly different and it's changed. Same schools, same scenario. And that's it. We need our own fire police.
I do want to make sure, we're going to have an opportunity to discuss the budget, but I do want to make sure that good information is passed to the people. The actual tax rate after a 55-cent, and I'm not advocating against or for right now, I'm just telling you the facts. The 55-cent tax increase would put us at a tax rate of $1.40. What we talk about, the effective tax rate, law enforcement is under our county tax rate. We do not pay that in addition. So, as far as it's incorrect about that, we do not pay additional for our law enforcement. It's incorporated in our county tax rate. We do pay an additional fee for our fire service. Our fire service is not included in our tax rate, and so we determine the effective tax rate by taking an average fire fee in Lakeland. The average fire fee, the reason we have to do that is the fire fee is based on the square footage of your home. Your property tax is based on the value of your home. So there are two different calculations. So you have to take an average. So we take the average. After you take that fee, if you incorporate it in the tax rate, on average, it's going to be about $1.80, $1.85, which would put us in between Germantown and Cairo on average. Some people will pay a little more. Some people will pay a little less. But it would actually put us between Cairo and Germantown on an effective tax rate. So I want to make sure that information was out there. Aldine. Name and address for the record,
Aldine, 9070 Red Hill Drive, please. I know every one of you carry a credit card, even Clark. I know he carries a credit card. And the first thing the bank does on your credit card, they put a limit on there because they know if they don't, you'll go like a drunken sailor and double whatever you're supposed to be able to borrow. If it's good enough for a credit card, it should be good enough for the city of Lakeland to have some financial responsibility to put a limit on what we're going to borrow. Secondly, why would you have a tax on people, sounds like Washington to me, and you have no idea what you're going to use for the money? I ask you to seriously look at this tax rate and rescind what you're thinking right now of increasing our taxes. It's ludicrous to put a tax on the populace as a punishment for voting down the bond so that you can say, we got it. And that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dean. Sharon Helms. Sharon Helms. Name and address for the record.
My name is Sharon Helms. I live at 9557 Sequoia Point Cove. And I just want to address all the commissioners and the mayor and all those people that are here today. I did vote no in the election because I don't want to see more taxes. And I definitely did not want to see our city go into debt for a $50 million bond. The reason why, I grew up in a small town in Missouri, and I love my schools, and when I was first called upon with my homeowners association for the meetings about this, I spoke in favor of schools. And I was proud of my schools, just like I'm proud for my daughter. She went to Lakeland Elementary, and now she's gone to Arlington Middle School and High School. But I agree with the speakers who spoke before me. Everything they said, I say again, 100% in support of. You have to plan. You have to have limits on credit cards. When you plan your monthly money that comes in and your expenses that go out, you have to plan that. People cannot take, older people especially, but most people in general cannot afford more taxes. No problem with schools. Just because I vote no, it's not me. I don't believe in schools. I do believe in schools. And I believe in growth, but I believe in planned growth. And I'd like to see a plan for the schools that incorporates planned growth and not reckless spending or just spending it, and saving it up. If there's money there to buy the land, we already have that, then buy the land. But don't put more taxes where we've already got the taxes for schools. Not only do we support Lakeland schools, we do Shelby County schools, which supports Shelby County school system. And I think nobody really has a problem with that, but the people that have lived here for years and years and years and have loved this community and have been the backbone of this community, they would like to be able to stay here. And an increase in taxes now might not allow that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Helms. Next is Chad Anderton. Name and address for the record, please.
Chad Anderson, 4160 Square Hill Drive. Voted no also in the bond issue. I think the citizens of Lakeland has spoken very loudly on that. Voted no for the tax, no for the bond, no for the school system, building the schools rather. Pretty resoundingly in the numbers that showed the polls and the differences. However, I would say that our community is divided on the issue itself. By the polling, by the voting, not equally divided, obviously, because it was voted down, and it wasn't a 50-50 ratio. But compromise, discussion, I think would be welcome to the future of Lakeland, quite simply. I think that the board should consider maybe bringing in an outside facilitator, outside of the city of Lakeland, someone that can be unbiased. Have a group of individuals from both sides of the fence, if you will, decide on facilitator, have them meet, have them discuss plans for the future of Lakeland, involving our tax structure, involving our school structure, involving plans for the city, to make things maybe more amicable for everyone, to come up with a compromisable solution that people can agree on, and to further the future of Lakeland itself. I think right now, that would call for holding us at the current tax levels at 85 cents, getting this thing figured out, coming up with a solution that is a good compromise for both sides, and moving forward. Sounds pretty reasonable to me. Right now, what's going on is not getting it done. You got a lot of people, obviously, that are against what's happening, and I don't think we should continue with a new tax just to put tax somewhere on something to build funds for who knows what. That's all I say.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Anderson. Cat Wright. Name and address for the record.
At right, 4083 Pelican Hill Cove. So what we're talking about today is property tax, and for most of us, property is our largest investment. And as we all know, the 55-cent property tax got put into play at the, I believe, end of 2014. And so as many of you know, I am a real estate agent and I specialize in Lakeland and Arlington. And so what I want to share with you guys today is hitting a little bit off of what actually Nancy Hart's talked about, is why would you buy a home here? I want to share with you what we're seeing market trend in Lakeland, which is phenomenal. So for the month of April, Lakeland sales saw in units a 3.6% growth. Median sale price up in April from year to date last year, 16.9%. Average sales price up 13.5%. No other municipality saw that kind of growth. Year to date, those numbers translate, well, keeping in mind all of Memphis is down 3.3%. So it's not something that we're seeing everywhere. This growth is specific to Lakeland. It's specific to what is happening here and the excitement and the growth that people have about the school initiative. So with Memphis down negative 3.3% year to date, I'm sorry, that's April, year to date 1.7%. And I have these handouts if you guys want them. We're seeing Lakeland year to date at a growth in units of 27.5%. Median sales price 10.8%, and average sales price of 15.1%. So to answer the question, why would anyone move here for a 55-cent sales tax increase? When as realtors we have to disclose that information, I think you're seeing it resoundingly and who's coming here, that they're coming here because something exciting is happening at Lakeland. And to the point that if we do not move forward,
Will you finish up, please?
okay, so if we don't move forward by passing this initiative, we are going to lose those buyers to Arlington, Bartlett, Collierville, Germantown, who are doing something in schools.
Thank you. When I hold my hand up, you got 5 seconds to wrap it up. And I'm just saying this to the crowd, we're not gonna push you off the stand if you go over 2 or 3 seconds. Okay, Wendy Sebastian. Name and address for the record, please.
Wendy Sebastian, 10129 Oak Seed Lane. As a citizen of Lakeland, I want to see our city move forward. If the property tax is repealed, it is going to set our city back instead of moving it forward. I know you're going to hear tonight, which you already heard, that the will of the people is to repeal the tax, but I don't feel that is the case. The vote was for the $50 million bond, not repealing the property tax. Lakeland has the potential to be a great small city and still keep the country feeling that we all love so much. With very controlled business growth and building a middle school, we can show people we are looking to the future, not still living in the past.
Thank you. Okay, next I have Sherry Willis.
Sherry Willis, 10089 French Springs Road. I urge members of the DOC to keep the 55-cent tax in the new budget. I believe we do need the money for schools. AMS is crowded. I go there
I am a substitute teacher and in fact will be there tomorrow. One of the classes I will have tomorrow has 35 students in it. That's a lot of seventh graders. I believe we need a school system in Lakeland, and I encourage you to please keep the tax so we will have it. We can get started on middle school and then high school.
Thank you, Ms. Willis. And finally, Jeff Hicks. Told you, save it for last. Name and address, please.
Jeff Hicks, 4294 Mellon Road. So, we're behind. We are behind. We need to keep the 55-cent tax in place. If we started right now, we're looking at 2 to 3 years before we could open a school. And I think that's a pretty conservative estimate. In 2 to 3 years. What are the numbers right now? Enrollment at Arlington Middle School is over 1,200 students for a school that is designed for 1,100 students. And Kat stole my thunder, or somebody stole my thunder and said, Sherry, I'm sorry. Some classes are as high as 35 students. Now, Ms. Helms here talked about being from a small town and a small school, and she's proud of it. Did she have 35 students in her class? If so, her parents should have been outraged. Okay? So, we're talking about overcrowding, student-teacher ratios that are just out of control. We need to keep the 55-cent tax in place. All the folks who came up here and said they would vote no, they would repeal the tax. How many of them have children who are about to start middle school? How many? I would say none. Okay? I have kids in the public schools in Lakeland. They go to Lakeland Elementary, and they're right now scheduled for Arlington Middle. We need a middle school. I think it's shameful that people would say, you know what, I got mine, I'm pulling up the ladder, good luck. I think it's shameful. So, I think this body needs to vote to keep the tax in place, at the very least, to set aside money to start the process of building the school.
All right, thank you, Jeff. That's all the speakers I have cards for. And commissioners, if we want to speak, now is the time. Commissioner Torrey, you trying to get my attention? Okay. Any commissioners wish to speak on the budget right now? Okay. Before we move to a vote, I would like to say something. I want to speak on it. Just briefly. I know this is first reading on the budget. I'm one who was in favor of, first, I guess, in favor of the bond issuance going to a referendum because I felt like the people ought to decide the issue. And then, but I was also in favor of the school. I went out and worked to try to advance the issue with the people. I think it was the right decision. It would have been the right decision for Lakeland. I think it would have led to tremendous growth. Advancement of great educational opportunities, which would have created demand for housing, and then commercial would have resulted from that. So I was in favor of that, and I would have supported the tax to support that plan, and I was very vocal about that. If the people chose to move forward with the school, but that was a plan, and I've always opposed taxes, so it was a strange place for me to be in, and viciously opposed taxes. I don't like taxes any more than the rest of me. I know all these commissioners up here, regardless of what you think of them, every one of these commissioners, I worked with liberals, and I can tell you, every one of these commissioners is conservative. If you came to our budget session, we're talking about pennies and stuff like that on the budget. You watch your pennies, your dollars, you fall in line. But these commissioners take a very conservative approach to budgeting. The school, if you take the school issue off the table, if you look at it, I don't think you'll find a more conservative group. Schools are just something that we're the only municipality in this county that has one school, and I can tell you why that is. I can speak with authority about this, And I speak kind of unashamedly about it, and with authority, because I was on the Board of Education for 6 years. And during my stint on the Board of Education, I tried to get a middle school built in Lakeland. I went to the assistant superintendent of our operations at the time and asked him if we could build a middle school in Lakeland. He told me I'll never build another school in Lakeland if I have anything to do with it. He told me that because of the issues they had building Lakeland Elementary. Water lines being blocked and having to truck water in and so forth. They had such a difficult time that they chose to build elsewhere after Lakeland Elementary was built. That's why 2 schools were built in Arlington. Specifically, Donaldson was supposed to be built in Lakeland. The same man that I just spoke of, he threatened to resign when Superintendent Webb asked him to build Donaldson in Lakeland, built it in Arlington instead. They had 2 schools built between 2000 and 2010, which gave them a grand total of 4 schools. Their city grew by over 300%, 330% is what they grew by. They were 1,000 shy of us in 2010. There were 1,000 population less than us, but they had 700 more students. I think that sends a clear message of who moved out there and what numbers moved out there. What the plan that we had in place has worked everywhere. Houston High School is built in the bean field. Now you have the largest concentration of wealth anywhere in Shelby County, or anywhere in West Tennessee, the largest concentration of wealth around Houston High School. 35 AP courses there they offer. When I was on the Board of Education, they had more merit scholars than any school in the state, both public or private. Outstanding school. And so your property values, we looked on Realtor.com just the other day. The lowest price house on Realtor.com was $565,000. I was like, wow. I couldn't buy the front door to that house. But that being said, growth has occurred everywhere this has been tried, and occurred in tremendous ways. And that's what we're banking on with that school. I think it's a failed plan, but it failed before the voters. We currently don't have a plan, so I'm not in a position where I can support an increase for taxes. If a plan comes up, that's a totally different conversation. If there's a plan out there and we can show a vision for where we're taking Lakeland, and we have a need on the table to meet, then that's something else. It's a totally different conversation. But we have no plan in place as of now that I'm aware of. And so I say that I'm aware of. I'm aware that there are some workings in the background on some plans, but I don't have specifics on anything at this time. But right now we don't have a plan in place that we have before the people for consideration and paint a picture of where we're trying to take the city. And so for that reason, I do oppose the tax rate increase. Commissioners, have anything to add? Anything to add? Okay. Then seeing no further discussion on this item, let's have a roll call vote. Madam Recorder.
Vice Mayor Gallick.
So yes means that we're approving this, correct?
Yes would be approving the budget tax rate.
Yes.
Commissioner Plump. Commissioner Plump.
Yes.
Commissioner Tory.
Yes.
Mayor Bunker.
No.
It's 3-1, yes.
Okay. The item passes 3-1. Madam Recorder, the next item, please.
Ordinance first reading, an ordinance of the city of Lakeland, Tennessee to commit specific revenue sources and establish specific uses of those sources.
Okay. Do you have a motion to this to the floor? Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Gallup. Do I have a second? Second. Commissioner Ford. Items properly on the floor. Do we have any discussion on this? Okay. Seeing no discussion. This ordinance is let me make sure I understand. This ordinance is, if the tax rate passes, this dedicates that funding amount, that 55 cents, to the school construction, capital construction, and that's it. So that's what it would be dedicated for.
Technically, it's not tied to the tax, I mean, it's just saying 55 cents of whatever tax rate.
All 55 cents of our tax. Same
Of our tax rate. So if we have an
difference.
85-cent tax rate, then 55 cents is going to be.
what needs to be understood. This ordinance commits 55 cents of the property tax,
Of the property tax.
irrespective of what it said.
It's the same difference, yeah. So 55 cents of our property tax.
Presumably, based on the discussion and sort of how this voting is gone, I sort of contemplated that this is sort of a companion with the $1.40 rate.
Okay.
I think that's implicit, yeah, so that everyone understands.
Okay. Go ahead. Commissioner
And
Gallo.
the 15 cents is by law, so that has to be, so that would not be in this, correct? 15 cents.
That's a separate matter. The 15 cents there's a state law requirement that a 15-cent equivalent is given to the schools.
So
That's not-
there's no confusion that that is not part of this, is my question.
That is not, these are two separate issues, yes.
And then the 10 cents, that is up to the board, correct?
Yes, that's correct. I simply want to make sure you understand and caution you that this applies to the tax rate irrespective of what that tax rate is set at. And so if the tax rate is set at 85 cents, then I would encourage you to be careful and think long and hard about whether you want to,
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Yeah, if you later come back and set the tax at lower than $1.40, this ordinance still commits 55 cents on the school capital budget.
Okay, I understand. But, you know, if the tax rate passes as is, and it apparently will from the result of the ballot, I can't say what will happen in second reading, but if things turn out like that, I personally, and I think the majority of people, if we are going to have a tax rate, they don't want it to be dedicated to anything besides schools. I would think that they wouldn't want it to just be spent on anything out there, so.
That's what this is.
So this ordinance commits it. So for that reason, I would be in favor, okay, of this, yeah. Okay, anyone want to speak to this issue, the ordinance? Okay, seeing none, let's have we'll have a roll call vote on this as well.
Vice Mayor Gallick,
Aye.
Commissioner Plum,
Yes.
Commissioner Tory,
Yes.
Mayor Bunker,
Yes,
4 to 0, yes.
okay, that item passes unanimously. Madam Reporter, are there any other items to come before the body? Okay, seeing none. Just for information, the budget ordinance has 2 readings. There is a work session planned in the first Thursday in June. Correct me if I'm wrong. First Thursday in June, there's a work session where this will be discussed again. And then there is a meeting, our regular meeting in June, which is the second Thursday in June. And on that Thursday, that will be a public hearing. We'll have a public hearing and final reading on the budget. That's when it would actually pass up or down, changes to it or whatever. So that's the schedule as of now.
That's the 4th of June for the work session and the 11th for the regular meeting.
4th of June for the work session, the 11th of June for the regular meeting. This will all be brought back before the body. And so let everybody know you'll have opportunities to discuss further what you want to discuss in those 2 meetings prior to actual reading.
Will the time be the same on that? That's my only question. Will the time on the 11th be the same, 5:30?
Yeah, oh, yes, good question, good question. The time on the 4th and the 11th, right now are set at 5:30. That's our regular start time is 5:30. Now hear me out. We sometimes have special meetings. I don't know that, we don't have a special meeting scheduled, but in the event we do, that'll be posted online and out on front on the board. Is there any other place it's posted?
No, that'd be it. It is unlikely we have a special meeting.
Yeah, I would think we wouldn't have a special meeting prior to. I don't know of any right now, but we might have a special meeting at a date uncertain other than those dates, or we might have a special meeting prior to. That would be the only reason we start early, but there's no plans for such at this time, but just be aware of that. Any other discussion, Commissioner? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn? I have a motion from Vice Mayor Gallick to adjourn. Do I have a second? I have a second from Commissioner Plum. Without objection, so ordered. We are adjourned.